Hey, what's up, everyone? It is Friday, August 25th, and we're going to go over the futures markets. Great week of trading this week. Some great movement going on out there. So, starting off with S&P 500 right here. The blue lines are the previous day's highs from high to high and then low to low. And what we look for that one, for that trade setup, is like just for what happened today right here. Hit off for it and get a nice little scalp and trade. Now, you can't bank on it hitting that and just zooming back up, but you can bank on, like, say, for instance, getting you a nice little 3-4 point trade right there for these. So that was the support line today. You can see it came pretty close as well to the extension low of the day, which is the 1.146 extension level from the previous days. Didn't come anywhere near the previous highs, which is to be expected when you have a huge move. Usually one way, it's not going to make an even huger move the next day like that. So, yeah, big movement today. You know, the Fed was speaking today, starting about 9:15 a.m. You can see we had this big overhead candle on the 15-minute chart. Came on down for the next about 45 minutes. Then all of a sudden, it just reversed up and finished close to the highs of the day for it. So within it, there were a lot of trades. I'm not going to go over all of them to bore you to death. But trading off the 1-minute chart, which I like doing here, there was a lot of good ones. And so going into next week, what we're going to look for going into next week is we're going to first off move the high and lows right there, and then we'll draw the previous day's highs and lows. There's the highs, and here are the lows. So as you can see from this going into next week, we do have a channel formed right here. Now that doesn't mean price won't break out of it, but it just shows that from the previous 2 days we are in a downward sloping channel here in the S&P 500. So opening up for next week, if the channel continues, we can expect to see the targets going back down here at 43.5750. That'd be the target I look for if the price stays somewhat in this channel going into next week here for the S&P 500. Looking at the MFI chart, in the 15-minute, it's nowhere near overbought, oversold. We can see it hit the oversold territory here, and then we had a nice little pop-up today before it came back down and continued up. But going over to the 1 hour, it's in no man's land, 4 hour in no man's land, and daily in no man's land. So nothing we can really glean off of that. Russell 2000, another great day as well. You can see it price came, hit off of the trend line for the previous 2 days. Went past a little bit, but eventually came back up. So if I was taking it, it would have been a nice scalp for it. But the day for the support area was the extension lows of the day. You can see here right between, it hit right between the 1840 and 1830, and then ricocheted on up. But we do have a bigger trade step that's in right now, and what I call it is the bread and butter trade. And how that works, and the reason why I call it that is when I was trading Forex years ago, that's the main one that I used for it to trade. How it works is use this semaphore right here, that semaphore, it came up and at least hits 50% without breaking that high right there. Then when the price comes down and hits the 1.146, that signals it is time to get into the trade. And then all we do is we take the Fibonacci retracement level, which is all the way down here. I'll drag it up here to show what we look for. And so what we look for with that is we look for a retracement once it hits the 1.146 up to the 50%. So you see it hit it right there, never came up, hit the 50. And so all we do is keep on drawing that down, waiting for the 50% to go up and get hit. Personally, I do not take the trade until it gets closer, at least to the 4.236 extension level, but preferably the 5.85. So it's all the way down here for this one. And I'll show you right here in the Nasdaq market here in a second. So the price did come up some, got pretty close yesterday to hitting it, but never quite hit it, or close enough for me to consider it to be good enough for done. And then it came down to hit a new low, so we go and draw it right down there. And so that's the low for it. So the target we're looking for the Russell 2000 is going to be the bottom of that green box right there. So if we go and redraw all of the extension levels and the day's previous highs and lows. So there's the high, there's the high. 1 second. And here we go from the low previous day to the low to the previous day right here. So what we're in here right now for the Russell 2000, just like the S&P 500, is we are in a downward sloping channel going into next week right there. But we still have the 50% retracement level to look at for the bread and butter trade. So that is a positive sign that we can expect some more positive momentum moving up into going into next week. But again, just like the S&P 500, it is right now in a downward sloping channel. Going over to the Dow Jones, let's see here real quick thing happened with that. 15-minute, no, that was the 1 minute chart we're looking at for a trade, but nothing came and hit it for it. So going back to the 15-minute chart, let me go back to 15-minute here. See, it's not overbought, oversold. 1 hour, MFI, nothing. Okay, cool. Let's see, Dow Jones for our chart, middle no man's land, MFI. Coming off of the 1 hour chart of being oversold down here. Let's see where that was. So coming off right down there, we'd see a little push up. So could expect a little bit of push up higher for the Dow Jones going into next week just because of that one. Then 15-minute chart, middle no man's land. So we see today's action right here. It was, had an expanding, whatever you want to call that, wedge triangle. I don't know. For the previous 2 days trend lines. Came down pretty close. It didn't even hit it. Didn't even hit the daily extension level, and then just kind of stopped. So going into next week, goodness gracious, I can't grab it. There's the extension, and there is the extension. And then for the daily highs and lows, we'll see what that looks like for the trend lines. Trend line right there, and then trend line right there. So another downward sloping channel going into next week for the Dow Jones, just like what it's looking like here. Well, I guess this one's a little bit bigger. This one is kind of like a widening channel right here for the Russell 2000, but the Russell 2000 kind of does what it wants compared to the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. So really, the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones have a very similar downward sloping triangle going into next week, but obviously that eventually will break out of that. Now to the Nasdaq, and this is why I mentioned a little bit ago, I wait for the bread and butter trade for it to hit the 6.85 Fibonacci extension level down here, which I did take a little bit yesterday. I got into it down, I think, over right here-ish, and then got out earlier today. Then I was taking just other trades within it. But so the reason why, and I think the setup's either on the 1 minute chart. It's on the 1 minute chart, yeah. So let's scroll over there. Oh, and real quick, if you want to, if you're into gaming, my boy, he has a YouTube channel, Cade Games 2000. He streams mainly Fortnite over there, but he wanted me to give a shout out for that. So Cade Games 2000 is his YouTube channel that he puts his Fortnite videos up. That's what he's big into right now. And so using the bread and butter trade right here, you can see here we have that semaphore. There's the low semaphore, and there it came up at the 50. And as you can see, when it hits the 1.146, it just totally dropped out and didn't get any support at the 2.618, 4.236. Then at the 6.85, it went down a little bit lower for it. And then today it looked like it was just going to completely destroy it, and it stopped again about 10 o'clock and then started making a nice rise up for that one. So going into next week, we are looking for that one to get filled, the 50% line, which is the bottom of that box right there. We can see that today price didn't hit the extension low down here and came close to hitting twice to hitting the trend line down, but did not hit it. So going into next week, there is the extension low. And here is the extension high going into next week. So it would kind of make sense for the extension high to go and get hit, and it would take out this trade right here since the extension high for the going into Monday is right there. Then for the highs and lows, there's the high to high right there. Then we have the low to low right there. So it's already busting out of it right there, because I do high to high. I don't do from the furthest over for it. So high to high, there it is. Sorry, busting out of it right there. So looking for a little bit pop up in the Nasdaq going into Monday to complete that one right there, and also maybe getting up into the daily extension level. Let's see, 1 hour chart, nothing. It was, as you can see, oops, where is it? It again, very close to being oversold. In fact, it hit the other day right here being oversold, and that's what I was looking for some today. So let's see here, right here, and that's why I was looking for that little pop-up, which we got right there. And then for the 4-hour chart, it's in the middle of no man's land. You can see the other day, or last week, you can see it came down way being oversold right there in the 4-hour chart. And then we had that big run up, and that's why we got the pop out of there for it right there. So those are that. And then lastly, the crude oil. Now, crude oil was one that I was really looking at closely today, thinking that, because what I do, I like taking a scalp when price hits the blue line right there for the first time. But as you can see, when price hit it about right there, all that happened was it only gave about at most 4, probably not enough to get you filled a 4-tick gain. I try to get at least a 10-tick gain in crude oil for that. But I'd missed this trade when it originally happened. It happened previous night at 7:30 p.m. And so I was looking at today thinking like, man, this thing really takes off and doesn't come back, then I'm going to have to scalp or scrap that trade because it's not going to work. But you can see price came up, hit the daily highs for crude oil. Lots of little trades in there, mainly trading off the 1-minute chart. And then towards the end of the day, you had this huge red arrow right here. It came down and would have been plenty enough for the 10-tick trade. So you're getting right there. Just about 10, could even get about 15, easy, probably even about 15 in oil. So easily hit it right there. So yes, it is still valid, and one I am still looking at doing. And basically it used the support of the previous 2-day trend line high to be support, and then it rocketed back up. So really what this looks like right here, it could be a potential, see right there, could be a potential measured move. See, there's the low, there's the high, came back, hit the 50s, found some support right below the 61.8. It did close below, but good enough. It had that one, it pounded it back up. So if it is going to be a measured move type of trade, then we're looking for the target up here at $80.87 going into Monday for crude oil. And so let's see what the charts will look like going into Monday, what to expect. So there's the high extension, low extension we're looking for, and then for the trend lines we have a high, and let's go to the high right there. And then for the lower ones we have a, are they the same, 760, yeah, they're same, 760 right there. We'll take that thing off, we'll need that, don't need that. So going into next week for crude oil, it is clearly in an upward trending channel that's expanding right here. So wouldn't be surprised to see it going up in early next week, hitting between the 80.79 up into the 81s going into next week. So the MFI, it is getting a little bit closer to being oversold here on the 15-minute chart. 1 hour is coming off being over, let's see, did it? Yeah, it did hit the overbought line right there. So you can see right here on that candle, there's the overbought, and then we had the sell-off right there. And then for the 4-hour chart, middle of no man's land, daily chart, middle of no man's land. So the MFI, how I use the MFI is just a signal to look at and see if it's going to happen, because it doesn't always turn right when it happens, and the longer the time frames are, the more strengthened it is for it. Because like look right here, here's the 15-minute time frame. You can see down here, price definitely got over in the oversold territory right there, but then look what happened. Price kept on going down. It didn't reverse right away back up. That's why I don't trade with it like that. It's just good to know to look for the reversal that will probably happen eventually. And then eventually, it did happen. It settled all the way down in here, had that pump up, but it originally hit right about on that candle right there. So if you just shorted it right there or got long right there, you had to wait all the way at least to right there just to get even for it. So that is one thing I am looking at, though, because eventually it did go higher. But one thing I am looking at is when that does happen, can you get in at like another Fibonacci level, like maybe use like the previous two semaphores right there, and then you maybe wait until like hits the 4.236 Fibonacci level the other way after it hit that, and then maybe go along there, and then just take it up to where you originally had hit it before you had that move forward. So just one thing that I'm looking at, but there's lots of good trades right now. The main one I'm using is the let me show you how it works. Like it's the using the inside pitchfork. Let's see if this is one. No, it's not one. Let's see here. Yeah, here. So basically, here's how it works. So you just use 374, start 3 points for it, and then when price closes above the green line, see there's a green line. That's a signal where you can go enter, and then your targets are you use the low for that for the Fibonacci, and then the high from where it is. See there's the high from the move right there. Even though it closed above the, let me zoom in a little bit. Even though it closed right here, that would have been a good entry. That's the entry point right there. This is the high, so the target is the 1.146. So from right there, if you're able to get in right where it closed right there, you know, the ultimate gain is about 17 ticks. I always get out sooner, so it'd been about 14, 15 ticks what I was looking for in the trade. So that's the main way I've been trading right now. That plus the scalping off of the trend lines for it. But anyways, have a good one. Hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. Thanks. Bye.